everyone, welcome back to my channel, Callie's Kingdom. I'm Callie, and today I'm going to tell you all about the books I read in July. So I read 7 books total, but then I started an 8th one. So we're going to go down the list. The first book I read this month was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I got this book from one of my friends for my graduation, and I absolutely loved this. It started out kind of slow, but it really picked up and it really had like a whole bunch of deep messages in there. It was so good. I highly recommend this book to anyone. Well, maybe if you're younger, like middle grade, like middle school or something, it's probably going to be a little slow for you and a little drags in places, and it might be a little hard to get through. It was kind of hard to get through for me in some points, but it was all worth it in the end. And there has never been a book for me that has started out where I'm like, this is kind of slow. This is like, I don't know about this, but then I've rated it 5 stars in the end. This is absolutely amazing, and I definitely need to read more V.E. Schwab books sometime. So this is my only 5-star read of the month, but it was great. So the next one right here disappointed me. It was called The Vanishing Deep, and I was so excited for this book because I read a lot of other books by Astrid. Not a lot. Why did I say a lot? I literally only read one. But I read one other book by Astrid Schulte, and I rated it 5 stars. That was Four Dead Queens. So I was so excited for the concept because it's basically a girl, her sister dies, and she's going to this place to revive her sister because her sister also knows the true reason how her parents died. So in this world, they can revive people for 24 hours, but those people can't know they're dead. So she's going there to try to go through this reviving process, and then just a whole bunch of chaos ensues, but the execution really was not the best. The world was great. It could have been so much. The characters, I felt like they were trying to give character depth, but they'd be one thing, oh, snap, now they're this whole other thing. Like, not thing, but you know what I mean. So it really disappointed me, and I ended up giving this 3 stars. But I feel like this would have been better if maybe it was broken up into 2 books, if different aspects could have been explored more, if it could have focused more on character depth. And I feel like the 24 hours rule like really hindered this book because that kind of stopped it from having a lot of depth, and it also made the ending with the 2 characters not as believable because it's very hard, I feel like, for people to fall in love in a book in 24 hours and have it be believable, you know, because it just takes a lot more time than that for people to fall in love. But anyway, the next book was called The Ash Princess. I don't have it with me, but I got it from the library. It was about a girl. Basically, her kingdom was overtaken by a different kingdom, and she was known as the Ash Princess. She was basically like a joke of the kingdom. She was basically not really a slave, but almost. She was kind of like a captive of the king, but she would get like a room and everything, and she'd get to go around, but she was always followed. She was always like the one who was like whipped for if uprisings came against him and everything. And basically it's kind of her starting to try and rebel against this king and take back her kingdom. It was 4 stars. It was a good book. I really enjoyed reading it, but it wasn't anything spectacular. It's kind of just your standard young adult fantasy, and it ended up being part of a trilogy, which I did not know. I thought it was standalone. The Trials of a Reader. But that was 4 stars. It was really solid. I don't have much bad to say about it, but there wasn't anything amazing that stood out either. The next book was called How to Survive Your Murder, and I got this book from the library too, so I don't have it with me. It was basically kind of like a time travel thriller slasher book. This girl, her sister dies, and the guy is going up for trial who she thinks did it. But then she basically gets transported back to that night, and she has the chance to try and save her sister from being killed. There was a lot that was pretty cool about this concept, and it kind of was like, but it didn't execute it well, much like The Vanishing Deep. Basically, I basically guessed it early on, who did it, what actually happened. But then, since I pretty much think I knew who did it, it kind of dragged in places. I kind of was like, oh my gosh, just get to it. Like, I know this guy didn't do it, blah, 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 all those things. And then there was an ending where there was a little bit of a plot twist that it just didn't work for me. And also the language of the book, it was very, like, much the language people would use nowadays. Like, they said, like, bombastic side-eye, or, like, slay, or, like, that's chuggy, or different things like that. And it kind of just brought me out of the book because it sounded like some older person trying to talk like Gen Z people. And I don't even talk like that either. So it kind of just, like, it wasn't my favorite writing style. So 3 stars. And then I read Killjoy, which is a short novella that's the prequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I really enjoyed this. Basically, it was about the girl who's the main character in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Pip. And she was going to this murder mystery party a little bit before the first book starts. And it kind of shows you her insights on how the first book got started in motion and why she chose what she did as her, like, senior project, if you read that book. And I thought it was a really fun time. I myself love murder mystery parties. I have been to one. I've hosted 2 myself, and I'm hosting another one for my birthday party, which is this weekend. Actually, when you watch this, it will have been yesterday. So, yeah. I love murder mystery parties. I loved getting to follow around along with it, to come up with my own theories, and although I didn't get Pip's theory at the end, it was really good, and all the characters acted exactly like the characters. But because it didn't do anything extraordinary, I rated it 4 stars, because it was just a good, fun time, you know? And then I read 9 Liars, which is the 5th book in the Truly Devious series. Basically, the main character from the Truly Devious series, Stevie, she goes to London, and she basically tries to solve a murder there. And I thought it was a pretty good book. But I felt like, unlike the other books in the Truly Devious series, you couldn't guess who actually did it by the end. Basically, in this mystery, there's 9 friends, and they go to this house that one of them owns. And then they play hide and seek in the rain and in the dark and everything. And then 2 of their friends in the morning are dead. They were, like, had axes, someone used an axe to basically kill them in the shed. And basically, it had to be one of the 7. So years later, Stevie is trying to help solve this mystery because there's this one girl, and her aunt was one of the 7 who were left over. Like, not left over, but the ones who survived. So she's going back to trying to solve it, and I really love the vibes, the, like, autumnal vibes in London or England. I don't think it exactly took place in London. It did for part of it, but the house was outside of London, maybe in Cambridge? I don't know. But I loved the vibes. I loved how it flashed back to, like, when the murder and everything took place, and then went back to present day. But it left me a little frustrated because there weren't enough clues put in place to guess the murderer, and even at the end when it was revealed, it wasn't like oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. It was, what? Like, you didn't put in enough clues for that. But overall, it was a fun time, so I still wanted to rate it 4 stars. And if you already read the rest of the other 4 in the series and you enjoyed them, I do recommend continuing on and reading this book. And if another one comes out in the series, I will be reading it. But next, I have Grace Year, which is right here. In this book, I feel like I've had so many disappointments this month, but there were some good, enjoyable ones too. Because this one I was so excited for. It was a dystopian, it sounded really good. I haven't read a dystopian in a while, but overall, it just didn't work for me. It was all kind of confusing because in this village, basically, the men basically treat the women as, like, objects and everything. And there's this whole, like, thing in here how men are so horrible, blah, 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 which I don't agree with. I think men and women are both, like, you know, equals and everything. I don't think people should be putting down men or writing a book about how horrible they all are. But that's just me. But anyway, but even though it felt like the author was trying to give this message, the 3 men the girl interacted with, well, one, her father, and then 2 boys that were kind of, it was not really a love triangle, but, like, sort of love interest. They were all nothing but nice to her. So I was like, what message are you trying to get across? It was very weird in that vein. But the actual story itself was kind of cool with the Lord of the Flies aspect. Basically, there's these girls, when they turn 16, they're sent away out of the village, and they have to fend for themselves for a year. And lots of people come, some of the girls die, some of the girls come back with injuries. No one really knows what happens in this Grace Year. So I thought that's such a cool concept. But basically, they're sent away because the men start viewing them as objects in this village and everything, and start, like, sexualizing them at that age, and I felt that whole part of it was really weird, and I don't think that's true for all people. So anyway, but I thought there was a plot twist in here that was really cool. I liked the Lord of the Flies aspect. There was this one character, Kristen, who the author made me hate so much, but you could tell she was well written because that's what was meant to be. The romance in here was like I didn't have any strong feelings about it, and it was just an okay book at most. So 3 stars. And then this book I didn't finish this month, but I started it, and it was a really fun book to read on the cruise. The Summer I Turned Pretty. I'll just give some of my thoughts about it because I watched the TV show first. And if you watch the TV show and you're thinking, should I read the book? Or if you read the book and you're thinking, should I watch the TV show? Out of the two, I actually think the TV show is better. They added a lot into the TV show that wasn't in the book, and I feel like it was just more enjoyable. This book was still enjoyable. I really liked it. I rated it 4 stars. But if it was written exactly how the TV show was, like with the added in parts, with different things kind of changed, there wasn't a love triangle between her and Jeremiah and Conrad in here. It was just always Conrad the whole time. And I actually really like Jeremiah just because he's kind of the type of guy that I would like more than Conrad. So I kind of missed that in the book, even though it was in the TV series. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun, fast, summery read, but I highly recommend the TV show series because I would rate that 5 stars. But anyway, I know I only have 4 of the books here that I talked about, but really I talked about 8, so I got a lot from the library. Which reminds me, I think I still have that novella, Killjoy, and I need to return it because someone has a hold on it. So I will be doing that tomorrow. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed hearing what I said about the books. And, oh yes, I know that I did a whole, like, TBR jar bingo, and I actually completed bingo, and it wasn't the one I said. It was this one. So Time Travel was actually the How to Survive Your Murder book that includes Royalty, which Ash Princess. I have the Free Space. Spin-off book was Killjoy. And then book that says Dystopian was The Grace Year. So I got all of those, which is pretty cool. I got bingo. But I probably won't be doing this for this month just because August already started. And I probably will be getting a lot of books for my birthday. So I don't want to set a TBR list and then get a whole bunch of books for my birthday, which is literally in 2 days. I'm turning 18 in 2 days. That's crazy. But expect a book haul from that. That might actually go out before the... Yeah, that's probably going to go out before I talk about how I'm an author, but stay tuned for both of those videos because next will either be a book haul or one where I talk about how I actually wrote books myself and published them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and tell me if you read any of the books that I read, what are your thoughts on them, and what's your favorite book that you read in July, and what's your least favorite book you read in July? I'd say obviously my favorite book was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and then I had a lot of 3 stars this month, but I'd say my least favorite would actually be How to Survive Your Murder. It just was not my type of book, but I'm hopeful that August will be a really good reading month just because I asked for a whole bunch of books for my birthday, and I'm going to get a bunch, and it already started out pretty good because The Summer I Turned Pretty was 4 stars. Another book, I won't say what, was 4 stars. And now I'm reading another book that I'm really enjoying so far, which is surprising because it's a romance, but it's a summery young adult romance. And you'll have to stay tuned to see what that is. And anyway, let's see. If you got to this point, why don't you comment like cupcake or cake emoji because it's almost my birthday. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good day and I'll see you next time. Bye!